Pastor. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. I'm really looking forward to our next story.
Me too.
All right, you want to take it away?
All right. So it's 1993, and things have been going pretty well for us. And we went down to Austin, Texas. There's this big music festival called South by Southwest that they have in Austin, and so we played that, and then we were, excuse me, touring back up the West Coast to on our way home. Mm-hmm. I actually have two stories from this trip.
Okay.
Okay, if that's a legal move. So the first story is our manager and I flew down to Austin to do some business stuff, and the rest of the band and the crew drove down to Austin. And our manager was supposed to bring some gear for our lighting guy, but for one reason or another just had forgotten to bring them. So he left them accidentally at his house.
Why didn't you grab them?
Because I'm the singer.
Oh, right.
And a singer does two things.
Okay.
All right? I brought my golden throat and my ego.
Oh, okay.
What else am I supposed to bring? Come on.
Okay, note taken.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough. So anyway, and you know that's all a joke, right? Okay.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Although at the time it wasn't. Pretty much reality. But, so our manager had forgotten to bring this gear, and they got to Austin, and we all met up for the first time in Austin, and that's when it came out that these projectors that our lighting guy wanted to use, our manager said, "Hey, I forgot them, back in Spokane. They're not here anymore." So. Now, our light guy was very, very detailed, which is awesome. That's what you want. But he spent a bunch of time planning out the design, for the shows. And now all this work he had done, he couldn't do because he didn't have the gear to do it.
Yeah.
So he started walking away, to blow off some steam, and just, he was muttering to himself and whatnot, and he didn't want to yell at anybody. It was the right thing to do. It was a healthy way of handling the situation. So we started giving him crap because he was so freaked out, and we were relentless on him for the whole trip about him freaking out and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And that here's the lesson I learned. Don't make fun of or make light of what is important to someone else. I mean, here's a guy who has given up work time back at home, and he's traveled all this way to tour with us and make our shows better, and we jump on him for being upset when he couldn't do his job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Although we would have all been upset if something hadn't, if we wouldn't have had our piece of gear there.
You would have forgot your voice.
Exactly. Which happened because later on in this tour I got mono and pneumonia at the same time. We had to cancel the last show of the tour.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was terrible. It was not fun. But he was just trying to be professional and do his job. Mm-hmm. And when he couldn't do it, he got frustrated. And instead of helping him out and sympathizing with him, we kind of pounced on him and made fun of him. And that's something I try not to do anymore. I try and take into account how important things might be to people that maybe aren't important to me, but just try and understand that and meet them where they're at. Just because it's not important to me doesn't mean it's not important, and especially doesn't mean it's not important to this person. So the lesson I learned is to respect people and value people and what is important to them. And I wish I could say that I'm smart enough to figure that out, but that's what God tells us to do.
Yeah.
Stand up for the truth, but in all things do that with gentleness and respect for people He has created. Okay, so the other lesson that was from this trip, and there were a ton of them, but the other one I want to talk about today comes from the Grand Canyon. So when we had a day off on tour, we really liked to go out and see something, that was local or whatever, try and get to know the area that we were in. So we had a day off, and we went to the Grand Canyon. It was so awesome. You just saw the power of God in this natural setting. It was awesome. So we parked the van at this section that we were going to get off at, and walk down. And so we walked down to this area where you can view the canyon, and and walk around, and there's rest areas set up there. You know, that's
Right,
what
yeah.
I could best describe them as. So we park, walk down. There's this rest area there, and there's this bank of payphones. Okay, do you know what a payphone
Yes,
is?
I know what a payphone
I don't know.
is. I don't think I've ever used one, but I know
Yeah.
what they are.
Kids, ask your parents what that is. So there's this guy there, you know, in his 20s on a payphone, and we're just doing our thing and we're minding our business, and we come walking, you know, down this trail to this general area, and he starts freaking the heck out and starts yelling at the person on the other end of the line, "Dude, I'm totally serious. It's Black Happy and they are here. It's the entire band. I'm not kidding around."
That's awesome.
And then I hear, you know, something to the effect of, "I will." So he drops the phone and he runs over to us and, you know, we signed some stuff for him, take a picture and whatnot.
Where'd you take a picture on?
A camera. We had things called cameras.
Well, I
back
know,
then,
but like, was it like
you know.
disposable?
No, we used to travel with real cameras.
Oh, okay.
And disposable.
Right.
So, yeah. Here's my lesson from that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is especially important to the life of a Christian. No matter where you are at, you are always representing God, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay? So I think about this, you know, we weren't popular in Arizona. We hadn't even started playing in Arizona at this point in our career. And so to be, you know, in Arizona, to be recognized by somebody, even though he was from the Northwest and whatnot, it was a good example, I think a good lesson for me to always, you know, be representing God in a way that's positive, because you never know who is watching you and who's looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
And I always think about that. It was something I take with me to this day that I try and apply, not perfectly all the time, but it's one of those things. You always want to represent God the right way, and you just don't know who's watching you.
That was always a big thing in the Army. People would say, don't be dumb, private, because people are watching.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
Exactly, yeah. Obviously, God's way bigger than private, but yeah.
But that's the exact point. You know, you're right. We represent God, and we do it everywhere, and people are watching. But that's the exact same meaning, same point. So
I love it. I love these stories.
So do I.
Today was good.
Thanks for letting me tell them.
Of course. We'll see you next week.
All right, sounds good.